Alright, so the circus dumbbell is an event that I often see people having a lot of trouble with. And there's a lot of technique that goes into it. So oftentimes I'll see people that should be really good pressers on maybe say an axle or a log that have a lot of trouble with the dumbbell. So today I'm going to go into some of the specifics on technique things so that you can learn kind of how to press the dumbbell with your lower body and make it such that your upper body is more working as stabilizers rather than your primary movers. So the first thing that you want to do is build it from the ground up, as always, right? So the way that you want to start is, and I'm going to have the camera person come in, so go ahead and just show this. So you want to start with the handle directly in line with your ankles. All right, so go ahead, go back. All right, and the reason that you want to do this is so that when you clean it, it's going to force you to come up and hit yourself right in the hips, and then you can go into extension, and that's going to help to kind of get it over your shoulder to get you into the better rack position. This is as opposed to kind of grabbing it and swinging it, which I'll see a lot of people do. I'll see a lot of people kind of pick it up and then rock back and swing it over. When you do that, what ends up happening is as the dumbbell gets heavier, you kind of hit yourself in the front of the shoulder, and you can't get as good of a rack position on the dumbbell. So we'll do that first part just so you can kind of see that. So you're in here, kind of tight, and then all right. So the next thing that kind of goes into it is that you want to kind of get it to sit actually back here on the upper portion of your trap. There's a different technique that I'm not really going to go into today where you're going to see people resting against the side of your face. The technique itself is okay. It's not optimal because there are a lot of dumbbells which you can't use that technique. So it's okay if you know for a fact that in the show you're definitely going to be using that dumbbell, but the problem is, especially with strongman, you can show up the day of the contest and they're going to change it to a totally different implement with 30 seconds notice. And I've seen some really high level guys kind of get screwed up by this. So learn it this way, always have this in your back pocket, and then if you want to learn it the other way and you want to focus on that, then that's okay because you always have a plan B in case they do change it on the day of, all right? So once we get the dumbbell kind of up here and back, you can use your other hand to get it into position, all right? And this is where some of you guys that have shoulder mobility issues are gonna have some problems because you're not gonna be able to kind of get it open like this. And I do see some of the bigger, broader chested guys kind of with that overactive pec minor in here have an issue getting into position. So if that's the case, then really work on like your mobility stuff and really kind of get the shoulder warm and opened up before you even try to start it. Once you get it up here, what you want to do is flex your lat as hard as you can. And you're going to use that as like a nice stable shelf. All right, then what you're doing is you're kind of flexing your biceps, flexing your triceps, and everything in here is tight so that when you dip down, the elbow doesn't dip. What happens is if all of this is loose, as you drop, your elbow's going to drop, and then as you generate leg drive, you're going to actually start to shove the dumbbell away from you. And once it starts moving away from you, it's really difficult to recover and kind of bring it back on into you. So let's show that rack position. All right, and you can see it's really steady, and again, it's sitting on my shoulder, and I have everything kind of flexed up into my rack position. All right, so the next thing is you're gonna notice that the dumbbell is kind of pointed away from me at about 30 to 45 degrees of an angle. One, that benefits the rack position. It's better rack position, but two, once it's in this position, the far part of the dumbbell is higher. So what happens is as I generate leg drive, I'm not actually going to be pressing the dumbbell. What I'm actually going to do is as I generate leg drive, I'm going to get leg drive and get it to come up, and then I just simply drop and turn my hand like that. And that's what I'm talking about when I say, your upper body is going to be stabilizing rather than the primary movers. So I'm going to get a ton of leg drive out of down here, and then all I'm doing is kind of stabilizing it up here. I'm not actually like pressing it away from myself. All right, so let's kind of show them. All right, then the next part of it is, once you have that dumbbell locked out, right? Because we don't really often see a max dumbbell that frequently. So more than likely, you're gonna be seeing this for reps or as part of a medley. So you don't wanna waste a lot of time. I find that if you're up here and you're dropping it directly from up here, that the dumbbell never kind of settles. It's always bouncing around on you, so you end up spending a lot of time chasing it, and it's really difficult to get into a good position to press from. So when you're up here, the best way to deload it is to simply kind of lower it to your shoulder, get this hand back on the handle, bring it down. Now you're already in the perfect position to press from, right? So rather than having to chase it all over the place, you're right there. If you can't do that for some reason, it does like tire some people out, then the second best way to do it would, once you're up here, you kind of turn it over like this, and it'll still kind of come down closer to the position that you want. You might have to move your feet a little bit more to get it, but at least you're not chasing it all over the place. If you drop it incorrectly, it'll stand on its head, and then you gotta flip it around or bring it back on the mat, which can be kind of troublesome. Also, something I forgot to mention with your feet, when you're pressing it, and I'll have the camera kind of coming close. So watch where my feet are positioned as I'm pressing it. The front toe right here is actually set back a little bit, and it's actually, I guess I would say it's in line with the ball of this foot. And what that does is it actually kind of helps me to load the weight into my hips a little bit better, and then I can even get a lot more leg drive. So again, if you can kind of focus on my feet, and you can see that I'm shoving my hips back to generate the leg drive. And you're just gonna get a lot more hip drive like that by kind of shoving the hips back rather than what I see a lot of people do, which is generate by dipping their knees forward. If you think about leg drive in terms of jumping, which is just kind of lower body acceleration, what you want to do is, if you were going to jump, you would jump by driving your hips back, gathering and exploding out. You wouldn't see someone like try to dunk, for example, going like this. You can't really get a lot out of your hips that way. So again, if you're going for reps, let's just show a couple of reps so you guys can see how kind of smooth it goes as you deload the dumbbell down. So you can see you save like a lot of time that way. So those are just some of the tips on how to kind of clean up your dumbbell and kind of optimize your strength and the amount of reps that you're going to be able to get. So, all right, thanks for watching. Bye.